Whether it's a romantic or platonic connection, when someone is rejected by the INFJ, the pain lingers for much longer than expected. No matter if you've gotten to know this type or not, their captivatingly comforting energy draws you in, making the realization that you can't go back for more quite difficult for some to swallow. So what is it really that makes the INFJ rejection so difficult to manage? Welcome or welcome back, psychos. Before we get into it, we'd love it if you liked and subscribed to our channel, as well as to click the post notification bell so you never miss a video. Alright, let's get right into it. Starting with number 1. Knowing that you've only touched the surface of who they are. The INFJ is like a jawbreaker. The candy, that is. With layers upon layers, only the most patient and willing ones are able to get to the sweet bubblegum center. It's not an easy job, but to those who are most deserving, the process comes naturally. Unfortunately, sometimes throughout this lengthy process, it's the INFJ who puts a halt on this extensive proceeding. You see, in order to get access to the next layer of the INFJ's personality, you need to prove yourself worthy. While it may not be obvious, INFJs put others through a series of tests to see if they have what it takes to get to their center, with vulnerability being one of the most uncomfortable states for the private type to put themselves through. The truly bonding layers of their personality are far, far from the surface. This is quite obvious to those they spend time with, and when you notice you've reached another facade of their complexity, it feels like an instant win. However, when this rewarding game is put to an end, even if it's through a mutual decision, it can feel like unfinished business. It's not uncommon to walk away from a connection with an INFJ knowing that there was so much they've yet to uncover about this reserved type. Number 2. Their comfort and empathy feels like home. When you meet an INFJ for the first time, there's an automatic sense of belonging that waves over you. Despite their rather reserved demeanor, this mysterious type holds an interesting maternal aura that draws people in a hypnotizing way. This captivating feeling only grows stronger once you get to know the INFJ's comforting interest in what you have to say, how you think, and how you see the world. The INFJ provides a safe space for anyone and everyone that feels compelled to share, asking the deepest questions and sharing comparative philosophical analogies that will make anyone question how the INFJ knows them so well. The unfortunate aspect to feeling like someone like the INFJ is home is that they usually aren't interested in taking things any further. This natural comfort can easily make others fall in love with this type, or at the very least, question how they've gone this far without them in their lives, ultimately leading them to inquire about furthering a connection, planning another hangout, or simply adding them on social media. INFJs are most likely quick to reject their offer, like finding your soulmate, only to have to let them go. The INFJ is always seen as the one that got away. Number 3. They can see exactly who you are. Speaking of the INFJ's ability to create a safe space for others to share their deepest thoughts, INFJs usually form a pretty accurate idea of who someone is beyond the surface. With a mix of intuition and extroverted feeling, this personality type is able to see exactly who you are within only an hour of meeting you. While this uncanny ability certainly holds to the non-judgmental comfort they provide for those around them, it can make rejection feel like a serious blow to one's ego and self-esteem, whether it has to do with what they uncovered through their analysis or their own disinterest in forming a new connection. When the INFJ turns someone down, they turn all of them down. Since their understanding of others is so profound, it's nearly impossible to walk away thinking they don't know what they're missing out on, because they probably know exactly what they're rejecting. In fact, they probably know more about that person than that person knows themselves, especially when it comes to behaviors and habits. So, To put it simply, when an INFJ rejects you, they've seen all of you and proceeded with rejecting exactly what they saw. Number 4. It's hard to know if the INFJ is just self-sabotaging. Despite their guarded approach to human connection, the INFJ is a sucker for love. With a sort of fairy tale idealism when it comes to relationships and friendships, this personality type loves the thought of finding their people in a world that doesn't understand them. However, in the rare occurrence that the INFJ feels like they've truly found a match, it's not uncommon for their minds to begin nitpicking and overthinking the potential future of the connection. As their attachment grows, so do their cycling thoughts. In fact, it's usually whichever overrides the other that ultimately affects the direction an INFJ chooses to take this potential relation. Even if their intuition is trying its best to encourage the INFJ to continue down the green flagged road ahead, they can easily mistake their subconscious fear of being hurt as their intuition trying to lead them away. When the INFJ chooses to walk away for these reasons, their once potential partner is left feeling helpless in their inability to prove their worthiness. This has to be one of the most difficult scenarios of INFJ rejection for everyone involved. Number 5. They're genuinely good partners and friends. If you've had the pleasure of winning an INFJ over to the point of experiencing a true connection with this type, you'll know just how much value they add to others' lives. And while it's nice while it lasts, if a proposal to move things further is faced with INFJ rejection, it's obvious that this factor makes things quite difficult. In fact, whatever the INFJ's reasoning for rejection is, it doesn't mean that it's not difficult for them as well. Boundaries are one of this empathetic type's biggest obstacles when it comes to making mutually beneficial connections, and due to this challenge, it's often seen as the purest form of INFJ self-respect. Nonetheless, despite their own struggles when rejecting others, when someone is abruptly cut off from the INFJ's love and care, it can feel like a major blow to their self-esteem. Luckily, INFJs usually need a good reason to reject someone they've created a bond with completely. This means that their rejection usually comes with an underlying lesson for the other individual that allows them a look into how they treat others, teaching them a difficult truth that will hopefully help them in future connections. Number 6. Their rarities are difficult to replace. One of the most difficult realities of INFJ rejection comes in the fact that you'll never meet someone quite like the INFJ. It's impossible to find a replacement to this rare personality type, and depending on the depth of connection, it may take years to truly be open to finding someone to take the spot they once had. Without making them seem like the magical unicorn type they arguably are, they're not only rare in terms of MBTI population, but rather it's through their interesting cognitive makeup that makes them come across as a rare breed to others. Weird, quirky, unapologetic, and yet deeply caring to a fault. When you have an INFJ in your life, things just become a little bit easier. Things become a little more optimistic, knowing you have a wise and honest player on your team to whom you can genuinely rely on. And so, when the plug is pulled from having access to this rarity, there's a noticeable emptiness left in their place. And lastly, number 7. Their caring nature makes it seem like rejection would never happen. As humans, we have a natural fear of rejection. Stemming from early childhood, even the most confident people hold a serious worry of being rejected due to not being good enough. Whether it's related to relationships, jobs, school, sports, you name it, nobody wants to be told they didn't make the cut. However, when you get to know an INFJ and their non-judgmental approach to communication and understanding, these innate fears slowly melt away. It's as if the INFJ's genuine interest in others instills this idea that they are too nice to ever reject someone completely. And while it's fair to assume that because they are wanting to know more about someone that they probably aren't looking to run the other way, it's usually not the INFJ's intention to create any sort of commitment. So, as you may assume, being rejected after letting your guard down tends to sting a little more than if you prepared yourself to expect it. Well, psychos, that's it for today. So, have you ever rejected someone as an INFJ who had a really hard time getting over it? Let us know in the comments below. Also, make sure to leave us a like, share with your friends, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a video.